it's better if the enemy is on left side of the box, that you start the edit from the right and finish with your mouse closer to him. So in this example, it's better to do it from the right to the left, so your mouse will end up close to him. So how I box fight in a real game is basically I always try to keep my enemy on my right side of the screen. So about pre-aiming, you always want to have good crosshair placement when you're box fighting. So in example, you always want to make sure like your mouse is close to the guy. What's up everyone, I'm TaySon and you're watching ZOWIE Esports Academy. In this episode, we're diving into how to master Fortnite. So the settings I use in game in display mode are I use full screen mode. I also put my resolution to QHD. My frame limit is on 240 FPS because I use 240 Hz. And my rendering mode is on legacy performance mode, which is the old performance mode. I put my brightness to 150% to see better, and I don't use any color blinds. For the graphics quality settings, I put everything to low as I want to have more FPS. And in advanced graphics, I just use NVIDIA Reflex Low Latency on AMP plus boost. In sound settings, I use my sound for the main volume on 100% and I disable everything else. And my sound quality I put to high, and I also use the visual sound effects option. In movement options, I use toggle sprint on off, auto open doors off, mantle activation on hold, and hurdle activation on press jump. I also have hold to swap pickup on. It's easier for me to sort my inventory out, and for the ADS I have to hold it. I also turn on auto pickup weapons because it's easier for off-spam fights, and I use disable pre-edit option on. I don't do pre-edits, and I have edit on release off. In HUD skill options, I use my HUD skill on 70%. I think it's a very important setting that you guys should use on higher as possible because you can see your mats and everything and good information better. I disabled my spectator count as it kind of annoys me in the left corner. For the sensitivity options, I use 800 dpi, 5.8% in game for both, and my targeting sensitivity is on 29%. I keep my building and editing sensitivity on default, so 100%, and I also use double movement. I use 75, 90 and 135. For my keybinds, I would say they fit me good because it's keybinds I've been used to since 5 years ago. They might not be as optimal as other people have them, but they're good for me. And for building, I use wall on my bottom side button and floor on X and stairs on Q, roof on shift. I also have a kind of a problem with pressing all of these binds with the same fingers, so it's kind of hard. I use building edit F, and I also use scroll wheel reset. And this is basically the only important binds I use. So how I box fight in a real game is basically I always try to keep my enemy on my right side of the screen, which allows me to do right-hand peeks. So in game, usually when you box a guy, you want to make sure he doesn't have any exits open. Or in example, if this is his box, you want to fake pressure some sides and try to stay and make him have a little space. And you want to cut his space off. You also need to watch his movement. So in example, if you feel like he's moving to the right side and you want to predict like where he goes out, you need to block his exits off. And this is like the situations where you catch people off. And you also need to be really good and fast in pressuring stuff, and you also need to make sure while pressuring stuff that you cover your angles well, that he doesn't aggress you in the moment, and a lot of stuff is just predicting people's movements and predicting what they're gonna do. So about pre-aiming, you always want to have good crosshair placement when you're box fighting. So in example, you always want to make sure like your mouse is close to the guy when you see him behind the wall. Also, you need to make sure that you have good crosshair placement while doing the edits. So there's like an example of a peanut butter peak. It's better if the enemy is on left side of the box, that you start the edit from the right and finish with your mouse closer to him. So in this example, it's better to do it from the right to the left, so your mouse will end up close to him, than doing it from the left to the right, where your crosshair placement will be directly like opposite of him. So you always need to make sure that you finish the edit close to the enemy. So usually when you get some early damage on the enemy, you will be the aggressor in the fight. So the main situation, what usually happens is when you damage someone, they will box up like this. And how you want to approach this fight is basically trying to pressure him already from distance while closing the distance to him. And an example, there's a lot of stuff that he can counter you with. So most of the times people just do an inside it while they catch you off guard when you're trying to pickaxe their wall. And you also need to make sure that you have good timings and good fakes while doing this. For example, if enemy that you damage is boxed up and you're trying to approach a wall, never go for a double pickaxe, because they can catch you off guard and just damage you while you pickaxe for the second time. So what I like to do is mostly I pickaxe the wall once and move to the right hand peak and try to get a good timing on the enemy, and that's how you usually finish the fights quick. So this is a game of Grand Finals, trios mode, and it's a game we won, so I will let you know what my thought process was behind this gameplay. So when first moving zone pooled, I'm trying to scout the rotate, trying to see where we can rotate for free. And I see this old tarp that we can use, so I tell my teammates we're gonna run through this and then we're gonna dash after it. So we run through this old tarp, we dash once, and here I said we should only dash once and stop instead of going twice. As you can see, so many people went front, and we don't want to be grouped up with these people, so we stop a bit earlier. And now we're just trying to chill, to make space and focus on next zone. So here we're just scouting around, like what is happening around us, being careful, being aware, and making sure we have good mats and good healing. And I scout where high ground is, so we go under high ground so they cannot focus us. And we basically make it in zone, and now we have a lot of space and a lot of time to look for a refresh. I refresh the dashes, so we have rotation for next zone, and my teammates give me more mats. And I see this solo above us, so I call my teammates for a pre-edit to get a refresh, but they were looking at something else, so they came a bit late, and we miss out on this refresh for like 2 seconds or 3 seconds. And while the next zone pulls, we still know that we have really good mats and a lot of time, so we try to look down in our old builds for a quick refresh. And now we just I decide to full tarp because people below us were fighting, and I wanted my teammates to look at that. So in the end we wasn't able to get any refresh, so we just keep staying ahead. And I'm just trying to play it out safe as possible, so that's why I'm full tarping. So here we're just trying to find a refresh, trying to look for something. And now we have to basically dash in front. So because we're already a high layer, we go down layers and dash in front. And while we're trying to secure a layer, we're trying to fight off different teams, so they cannot contest us on the layer. And now we're basically the most stacked team in the lobby, so we're just trying to make it till the very last end, like moving zone, and we'll get a lot of kills there. So the zone pooled, and I'm trying to find a good layer again, and from here on we basically claim low ground. And we're just trying to stay together and not do anything because we still have good mats. And here I dash front to claim low ground in storm, trying to take some ticks. And I'm telling my teammates just to look for refreshes when we have a lot of space. And we're just basically staying ahead the whole time, staying aware and not doing any stupid plays and just keeping it chill. And here I'm basically like running out of mats already, so we need a refresh, and next zone is pulling in 5 seconds, so we're ready for the zone. And as you can see, the zone pulls on the hill, which is basically very bad for us because we were claiming low ground, and now we have to push through other people. And we're trying to go front first, and till we realize that we cannot actually pass here, we try to go around. So I put more dashes, and I'm telling my teammates we need to go around and try to claim low ground again. So we tank some zone and dash ahead, and this is where we get like split up a bit. So which was bad from us, and now we're just trying to fight off low ground. And while we do that, we get pressure from above, and I get dropped down, and this makes me die. And while I'm dead, I can tell my teammates what is happening on low ground. I can give them information. So I tell them there's a tree on low ground, but they're not really healthy. So I tell them just stay in front and try to claim low ground, because this will basically secure us the top 2. And everyone low ground started fighting, so my teammate just kept on tarping and trying to secure every placement. And he still has 2 chalk jars, which is basically the best white healing that you can have in late game. And he gets a kill as well, and at this time we just tell him to go heal off early because the other teams are still fighting. And while he does that and tries to heal off, the other team just fight and die out, and this got us a win. Thanks for tuning into ZOWIE Esports Academy. I hope you picked up some great tips today. If you enjoyed this type of video, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. Also, in the comments down below, let us know what more you'd like to learn and we'll turn it into a video. Strive for perfection.